It's a pod all about the second half of the NBA season coming up next. Welcome to the Mr. Vincent Podcast, episode 167. I'm your host, Emmanuel Vincent, and I hope everybody is having a great week thus far. It's the NBA's time now, as the NFL season has concluded for about 2 weeks now. And now the spotlight is on the National Basketball Association, and particularly the second half of the 2025-2026 season. So, me and the homie Daniel Daley, host of the Basketball Soapbox, we did chop it up yesterday in the evening. Essentially talk about the problem that the league assumes that it has on its hands, this gigantic epidemic known as tanking. We gave our thoughts on that. Also, we shared who we believe is the league MVP up to this point in the season, and also what we're looking forward to as the season progresses. So overall, it was a pretty good pod, and we can actually get into it right now. Here it is. All right, so we are recording this podcast here 6:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Monday. The NBA second half of the season is underway. I just want to get your thoughts on, because it's been a while since we talked hoops. NFL's over, so now it seems like the national media has shifted its focus to the NBA, rightfully so. So I just wanted to get your take on a few things that are going on this season. First being the whole tanking situation that everybody is up in arms about. Adam Silver came out and said that they're going to work on cracking down on taking following next season. Now, I'm sure that we say the same sentiments based on what I see your take on this on social media. I think that he's just overreacting. I mean, this upcoming draft class is supposed to be the best draft in the last 20 plus years, headlined by AJ DeBanster and Darren Peterson. So, of course, teams are going to try to put themselves in the best situation to come up and get one of these top players in the upcoming draft. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on this situation.
To me, from the NBA, is just an overreaction because, well, one, I want to tell you where I think it ultimately leads to, but it's just an overreaction. Tanking has been going on since I was a kid. I was born in 1991. Throughout the 90s, teams have tanked because everyone was trying to find that next blue chip star that they can have, and the new star without paying a whole bunch of money in free agency. Get the new star, get the young star that you can craft, and that's what they've been doing. They've been tanking. They've been losing games. Franchises have been not signing players, not trading for players, not doing anything, just being crap. You can look out through the 90s, early 2000s, even present day. This has always been happening. Nothing is new with this. San Antonio did it to get Tim Duncan. They did it to get Wemby. And those are franchise pieces. That's what you do it for. When you look at all the top teams now in the NBA, OKC hoarded a whole bunch of picks, sucked for a couple years, got SGA, added Chet Holmgren, got J-Dub in the draft. The Spurs historically have always built through the draft. Detroit, Cade Cunningham. Those guys are franchise-changing players. Those are the type of guys that you want. How do you get those guys? By tanking. A lot of these teams that I'm looking at now, I'm looking at the standings. The Sacramento Kings. Sacramento Kings, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Utah Jazz, the Indiana Pacers, the Washington Wizards out there on there. No one can name me a top free agent that signed with those teams in their history for the past 20 years. Like the last guy that comes to mind that signed with a team like that, with Washington, for instance, who drafted John Wall, Bradley Beal. They made a run at Kevin Durant, I believe, in 2016 before he went to the Warriors. But outside of that, it's been Gilbert Arenas. Like, think about that. Gilbert Arenas, that was 01, 02 when he signed that. I think it was an $80 million contract to go to Golden State back in the day. Guys don't go to these teams. So the only other way to build up is through free agency, which they don't get a lot of those guys, those teams that I just named. They have to do it through the draft. How do you expect these teams to get better without tanking, without trying to get a lottery pick in the draft? Just hope it happens. Like, a lot of the times when you're looking at the free agents are going to go to Boston. They're going to go to LA. They're going to go to the New York Knicks. They're going to go to Miami at some point, hopefully in the next couple of years. They don't sign with those bottom feeder teams, mainly in small markets, basically bad organizations. They don't go there. So the only reason why these teams literally trade all their assets or trade all their veterans or big name contracts is for a chance to get a guy in the draft. That is the only way you can build up. Detroit did it. OKC did it. Multiple teams that are at the top now have done it. So I don't see what the big commotion is, the news stories, the this is ridiculous and this is bad for the NBA. It's always happened. It's always happened. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you made great points. I echo every sentiment that you just mentioned. Yeah, like these guys, these teams don't have the track record of attracting big name free agents, such as Washington, Utah, to name a few. And so, what's the other route that they can take is by trying to build through the draft. And what do you want to do when you're try to build through the draft, trying to be in the best position possible to land the top pick? That's the only avenue that they have to take. So I think Rachel Nichols did mention that too in her tweet that I reposted last week, basically saying that they just like putting like a Band-Aid on a bigger problem when you guys are not like giving these small market teams another opportunity to get better outside of building through the draft. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. They're gonna tank, and like I said, it's been going on forever. I'm just like they're acting like it's some new phenomenon that's going on right now. Now I don't know if I've seen taken as early as like pre-All-Star weekend, well, like Utah did that night. Probably I haven't. I can't think off the top of my head. Maybe. But I mean, I just think that it's the overreaction because Adam Silver doesn't want to look bad in a sense. Like, again, the spotlight is now off the NFL. It's on the NBA. All-Star breaks arriving now. They're in the beginning of 11 years, $76 billion media rights deal and everything. So you want to like project the best image in the league, make sure the best product is out there. But at the same time, man, it's a business. You want to it's a business for these teams that are trying to do the best to get the right players, to build the right team so people can keep their jobs. And that's very, very hard to do in these small markets. So I give like credit to like an OKC, like a Sam Presti and what he's been able to do. Not even like with this iteration of OKC, but prior with Russ, KD, and Harden, building through the draft, like seeming like he was like he didn't miss at all on these draft picks. Like it is so because he knew there was no margin for error for him to get a pick wrong because you can't get anybody to come to OKC via free agency. So you got to do what you got to do in the draft and build your way up from there.
Yeah. When you talk about Sam Presti and stuff like that, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Serge Ibaka, there's no accident. There's no accident that happened. Did they have some success? Maybe faster than others, but they always hit on those lottery picks. But yeah, I think what I wanted to get to ultimately is this kind of broke because the Utah Jazz sought all their starters. I believe it was early February, like maybe 2 weeks before the All-Star game.
Something
and they lost. Yeah, they lost the game and stuff like that. And I was like, this leads back to gambling. Because all those people that had over-unders and then those guys pulled their starters, that affected a lot of gambling, maybe money lines, parlays. And I'm like, that's what the NBA is getting mad at, is the gambling. Because now the gambling, the people who you can't watch an NBA product without some type of to ESPN bet or FanDuel or DraftKings. It's endless. Like they got Charles Barkley doing ever since he was on TNT doing money lines and bets and parlays and stuff like that. When that type of stuff happens, that's what it's affecting the most. So when they pulled all their starters in Utah, and I think Indiana got caught with it as well, that pissed off a lot of people, and especially the gamblers who can't get their money back from wins or losses or whatever the case may be. I think the NBA is being more affected by gambling in that sense because now that you have these teams tanking or people in fantasy leagues like myself that now have guys being pulled. Guys are having surgeries earlier. Guys, the offseason, Utah's doing that too. I think Yusuf Nurkic just went out today. He got hit in the nose, but he's going to have surgery. Jaren Jackson Jr.
He's
There's a
already
couple
out
of
for
people.
the season.
There's a couple of people that just randomly all of a sudden have surgeries, and I'm like, well, that's what they're going to do because you guys are finding them now for tanking. Hey, that offseason surgery that you were going to put off until the offseason, have it now. Get better over the offseason. Like, I think gambling is that new thing in the NBA where they're going to have to take a look at some point. Right now, it's generating so much money. But I think with the tanking and stuff like that, I think that's what people are more upset by on the low. But the NBA is just not saying that.
So you said that it's more, you think that a large part of it is due to the gambling aspect more so than the actual like tanking?
Yeah, because when you pull people out of games and stuff like that, or you sit starters are like that. So people who place bets before the season are saying, hey, the over under on wins or whatever the case may be, or over and under a player. When a player plays, you can say this guy's going for 30 points tonight, over under. You pick the over. If he's not playing in the third or fourth quarter, that affects your parlay. That affects gambling. That affects money lines. I think that has a big part to why the NBA is now trying to get ahead of this before it gets out of control. I think that's what they're trying to do, to make it mask as tanking, but in reality, they're trying to appease the stakeholders in the NBA, which is a lot of gambling companies.
Yeah, man, I didn't even really give thought to that thought about the gambling aspect, but it definitely makes sense. So, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a business. A lot of money's on the line and everything. So,
yeah,
like when you do that, you're disrupting that industry, which is going to like trickle down to the NBA and come back on them.
Yes.
Do you think so? Correct me if I'm wrong. When I saw a post, I think last week, Adam Silver they're working on ways to try to like eliminate tanking, right? Like those rules that were proposed, I seen, they're not like effective yet, right? They probably have to be in the off season, maybe with the committee.
Yeah. Most likely in the off season, they're probably going to try to institute something to the degree because they're really gung ho on stopping this and looking at only protections being 1 through 4 and then 14 through the end of the draft or whatever the case may be. I think the lottery is going to be the actual part where you can't protect your picks if you're in that space. They also said something like
I think I saw you can't pick top 4 in consecutive years. I'm not mad at that.
I'm not mad at that at all. I'm feeling like that's fair. If you get pushed out the lottery and then everybody gets pushed up, I'm fine with that. That's a good rule that I'm like, because you have multiple times. Yeah.
I'm sure San Antonio's like, thank God that we did this already. Because, they got Wemby, Castle, and Harper, all 3 consecutive years, top 4 picks. Like, how does that happen? Like,
positioning, man. Like, the Spurs just know how to. I said it when they were going for Wemby. When Greg Popovich was playing Jeremy Shohan at point guard, I was like, oh, he's tanking all right. Like, there's ways that they can do it. And when doing that, stuff like that, lineup position changes, pulling guys and stuff like that. So I'm fine with that because I'm like, all right, if you at least have 2 picks in the lottery, top 5 or whatever the case may be, you should be building your team around those guys. Like, you had your chance to get a game-changing player and franchise player. If you mess that up, then that's on you. That is on you. But I do agree with that. I'm not mad at that rule that they proposed. That's fine.
Yeah. So, was there any other rule that you thought would make sense outside of that?
No, that was the only one, because the other one was, hey, if you make the conference finals, you can't pick in the lottery or something like that. Kind of going after Indiana, who lost Tyrese Halliburton, going after OKC, who has the Clippers pick and stuff like that. I'm like, that's stupid because they made those trades. Well, OKC made that trade before this season, and they're the best team
years
in the league.
ago.
That's not, years ago since the SGA trade. That's not their fault that the Clippers are messing up now. The Clippers didn't put it together. That's on them. That shouldn't affect OKC. So that's where it's going to get weird because you have a lot of people trading picks for 4 or 5 years. It's like, okay, now we're going to take those protections off. It's like, hey, I did what I needed to do on the receiving side. Like the Suns, I think that's another thing if we get into that. But the Suns don't own a pick until 2032. Like, that's not those other teams' fault because the Suns gave up their future. That's not that's not how that's supposed to work. But
yeah, it's being overzealous. Like,
yeah, I was mad
trying to win now. Like, come on, bro.
I was sitting there and I was arguing with people, and I'm like, the only reason why Matt Ishbia came out and said, hey, tanking is for losers in XYZ is because he can't tank. He doesn't own his picks for the next 5-6 years. That's
Yeah.
why he's saying tanking sucks, because he doesn't have a choice but to try to be relevant. He doesn't have a choice. Otherwise, as I said it before, he wouldn't have signed Devin Booker to that extension. He would have gotten to the season and see where they were at, and they probably would have traded. He would have never made those moves to try to get some type of sensibility out of the Kevin Durant trade. He never would have done that. So for him to turn around and say it's for losers, it's like you just don't have the option to do so. That's the only reason why you're mad at it. Otherwise, you would be one of those people tanking, especially this year where you have this type of draft class that's coming in with these young guns.
Yeah, so do you think that this draft class is really going to live up to the hype, or do you think it's like more so potential more so than certainty? Because I mean, I'm not honestly, I don't really watch college ball like that. But I obviously know DeBansta and Peterson. I watched their game when they played. Was that like 2 weeks ago or a month ago? Big game and everything.
Yeah.
But like in terms of like they talk about like it's like going to be like a 03, 96 level type draft, and I don't know. I think this past draft could potentially be just as good with Cooper and everything and Knuppel.
Yeah. I think there's, even if they're not franchise-changing players, I feel like even with last draft, you have guys that can at least come in and play right away, at least fill the role. And I think that's what a lot of teams are looking for, because depth is more important in the NBA than any time, I think, in history. So you got guys like AJ DeBansa. You got guys like Darren. You want wings that are versatile, that can score like DeBansa and Peterson at the top. You want a guy like Boozer if you want a big in today's NBA. That's the type of guys that you want. There's also some more guys. I believe there's a guy in Houston. His name is escaping me at the moment, but I think like there's there's a couple of good guys in this draft that can make a difference, that can help guys right away. And I feel like that's what a lot of college basketball is now. I don't know if you're going to get these type of guys like this consistently anymore, especially because they're already talking about how good the 2026 draft. They're already saying, oh, well, the 2027 draft is not going to be as good. I'm like, wait a minute. We haven't even seen anybody play next year. But that's the precedent around the league, is like, hey, tank this year so you can get somebody. That's why they said teams like Washington is trading for Trae Young and Anthony Davis ahead of time, so they're not tanking next season. They're tanking this season to get the pick in and then actually build around the guy coming in. And it's just like, damn, guys are already trying to position each other. But that's what should be happening, right? Like, they're already looking. This is a smart. Washington's doing it right, in my opinion.
Yeah,
lose all these games, get a lottery, take a swing on a guy like Trae Young, who's been ousted by Atlanta. Take a guy like Anthony Davis.
Trade it for guys who aren't available right now. So hey, you can't say that we're taking. We can trade for guys who are injured.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, we can make a swing move on Trae Young. We can make a swing move on Anthony Davis if we get a high pick in the lottery to pair with him. If those guys break down, at least we have a high draft pick. Same thing with Utah. We're not going to be able to get Jaren Jackson Jr. in free agency. Let's trade for him while we're tanking. Let's trade for him and get a guy that can solidify our front court, get us better on the defensive end with Lauri Markkanen. I think they're going to try to sign Walker Kessler as well. That solidifies our front court. We got Keontae George playing well. Let's see if we can add something to that. They got Ace Bailey in the wings. Let's continue to build. I'm like, this is how these teams are going to get better. This is how they have to do it. So I'm not mad at it all for those teams.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I think we said that crazy overblown overreaction. Everybody acting like this is like some new phenomenon. It's gone on for years, as you perfectly illustrated earlier. It's just reality.
It happens in all sports. Baseball is too large and too long of a season for anybody to recognize if there's a prospect. You just hear a prospect here and there. Unless you're in the know in baseball, a lot of these teams are tanking.
and of course, you see the NFL when people like lose and they get themselves out of like the first pick and they fall like to the third or second pick, then people are like, "What are you doing? You can't even lose on purpose." Like
the Patriots did that with Gerard Mayo winning the last game of the season. But look at it for the NFL. The Cincinnati Bengals got Joe Burrow, somehow ended up in the Super Bowl. That's why you do it. You get those players that can transform. The Bengals never did anything in the playoffs. And then all of a sudden they get the quarterback. They get the quarterback and they get into the Super Bowl. That's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. So give yourself a long runway with said talent and then put the right pieces around them to have a sustained run. Come on, man. We've seen
it.
Common sense.
That's my only thing. We've seen this in sports. Like this happens all the time, and nobody gets upset. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. The NBA just has a weird. I don't know how to say. Maybe because their superstars are so on Front Street, and there's a little bit
It's a
more.
superstar-driven league.
Yeah, so I think that's where it gets a little bit like, hey, these guys aren't trying hard, or these guys aren't doing the right things. These teams aren't doing the right things. I'm like, if you look across sports, this happens all the time. So I don't understand why with the NBA, it's such a well, we need every team competitive. I'm like, it's never been that way. I've always said this. There's been 5, maybe 4 teams in each conference that can compete for a champions, has a realistic chance to make the finals. There's teams that are building up. There's teams that are middle in the road that are trying to decide if they can extend or go tanking. And then you got the bottom of the league that's tanking and trying to figure it out and being bad and trying to get into the draft. That's what it's always been in the NBA. It's never been different. Never. There's never been a playoff. Well, maybe sometimes in the Western Conference where you had I think it was 2000, I can't remember, but 2010s where you had all these teams winning 48 games. I'm like, that's because other teams were tanking and lopsided. That drove some other teams' win totals. But ultimately, it's been the same forever. You're never going to get a playoff where all 16 teams are trying to get in the champ. That's just not how it works. We've had some Cinderella runs. That's about it. But you're not going to get that through
Indiana
every team in
last
the
year.
league.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to get it through every team in the league. Like, oh well, we expect a team that has no talent, not as much talent, bad coaching, bad management to turn around. Oh, they're going to win 40 games. That's not going to happen. That doesn't happen in any sport. So for the NBA to just get all this backlash and criticism, I'm like, why is it so? I don't understand why it's like that for the NBA, but I don't know. That's what I noticed is that with the NBA, it gets a little bit more criticized than other sports.
Absolutely. There is one element we didn't bring up.
Mhm.
The whole load management aspect is playing a role into, I think, why Adam Silver is reacting the way he is. You know, the
Mhm.
whole thing about stars sitting out, especially nationally televised games, people throwing fits, and rightfully so. People,
Yep.
people who work hard for their money and are expected to see stars who are being advertised and go there, and they're not getting that product. I see Adam Silver, like, that playing a role in him trying to react to this whole tanking situation and everything. But I say shorten the season. I think it's too long. I don't know how you feel. I think it's too long. And I see a lot of people I saw on First Take, Stephen A. and Kendrick Perkins are talking about, oh yeah, you guys just got to suck it up. It comes with the territory. You getting paid to play 82 games and everything. I'm like, you know what? I don't agree with them because the game is just so different from what it was in the 90s and the 80s, man. Like, how much ground you got to cover on defense, closing out the 3-point shooters, the pace. I don't think that guys is like that. Like these guys' bodies was meant to to take on that much load night in and night out. I don't believe it. Like I really think there's a reason why we're seeing last season or the last couple of seasons we've seen so much soft tissue injuries, hamstring, calf strains. Last season we had 6 Achilles tears, including Tatum and Halliburton. We guys are like mid to late 20s. Like that's unheard of. So. I think they should shorten the season, but at the same time, I know reality. You shorten the season, you lose money, the owners, and then in return, the players lose money. So I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to do that because I've seen other like podcasters and stuff like that, NBA people and stuff like that talk about it, and they're like they're not going to give up the extra revenue from even one home game. It just doesn't make any sense, and I feel like they met a price point because if you shorten the season, you're going to have to up the ticket prices. The salaries of these players don't change. The salary of the coaches, your staff, your organization, your building doesn't change. So when you shorten the season, the prices have to go up. It's
already ridiculous in a lot of places.
Yeah, like that's a big problem. I think Mark Cuban recently came out and said something like that, where he was like, the NBA shouldn't worry about tanking. It's more so finding out how to get families to attend games and buy player jerseys and actually be at NBA games. And I think that's really a pressing point that nobody wants to touch because the owners are not going to want to give up any money. You know what I mean? They're not going to want to down price. But I've heard people say that they want to shorten the season and find it like 70 or 65 and stuff like
65,
that.
70 is the sweet spot, I think.
Yeah. And I'm like, I hear that and I understand that because if we are talking about protecting players, maybe less couple games will get hurt will change that. But players are getting hurt in the first 20 games of the season. Maybe you spread out the schedule a little bit more. But I'm like, I don't
But
see
then,
how that's.
then the league of what until like August? The league
It's like
August?
that's not like I don't think that's the idea situation to do that. But yeah, I just don't think that's the ideal situation. And then a lot of history will change too. Like a scoring leader is going to be playing 50 games. You know what I mean? I don't want that to happen. The history of the game is more important to me in that sense. Like, do not mess up with the schedule. Do not mess up with the games. Everyone's saying shorten the season. I think that has a little bit more to do with shortened attention spans. But
that
yeah,
too, I think, was a big role too.
I don't think they should shorten the NBA season. I don't want that to happen. I know NFL, I think the NFL is trying to add games, but the NFL is from September to February. It's a shorter time period. It's once a week. It's different. It's a different scheduling. So everything matters to that point in that game. But shortening the NBA season, it's like a lot of stuff can happen over the course of the season. So I'm like, I don't necessarily want to tinker with that per se.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not a casual observer of the NBA and everything, so like I appreciate the games that are being played. But from a casual standpoint, I can see how one would think, hey, the season's a little bit too long. It's hard to keep our attention. Whereas the NFL, like for the most part, it's every Sunday. Games are once a week and everything. It's easier to keep up with, to be engaged. So I can see that argument as to why like to shorten the season just to keep people's like attention span.
I've heard people say open up another roster spot, another a 15-guy man rotation, add another guy that you can add to your team, like open up to 16, 17 guys that can actually play. I know they have the G League and stuff like that where they have to have two-way contracts and stuff like that. But I've heard them say open up another roster spot to get another guy on your team, open up the salary cap a little bit more so that you can sign players to your team, and maybe having more players on the team can actually help circumvent that load for star players and stuff like that. Maybe having another guy and stuff like that. But I don't know what. I don't think they should shorten the season. But I've heard people say that, suggest that, open up the roster spots and stuff like that to just help teams. But it's like I feel like a lot of guys are also in the G League too that can help teams too. Like we don't talk about, but maybe give guys an opportunity. Maybe there's a call up way they can do it. They already have it, but it's like maybe there's a way that they can actually make it permanent to help these teams. I don't know. I don't know the answer per se, but I don't think shortening the season will help that.
Yeah, man. It's tough. We're gonna see a lot in the next, several months, especially in the offseason. We're trying to work around all this stuff going on. Way over my head. That's why Alan Silver gets paid the big bucks. He can figure it out. Oh yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about this MVP race, and we're seeing right now the injuries because we had the new 65 rule game limit to be considered for awards, including league MVP. That may very well come into play into determining who will be the MVP of the 2025-2026 season. So I think this is the second season with this a rule put in place. What's your thoughts on it so far as it relates to the MVP award? Because we're going to see like potentially Nikola Jokic, I think, going to miss one more game and then he's not going to be eligible for the MVP. I think Shea's like at close like 10 or 8, something like that.
Yeah. I think Victor's in the same boat as well.
I think he missed some time. Like 2 or 3.
Yeah. So I don't like the rule per se because it's like you're not going to tell me that Victor Wembanyama hasn't been dominant this season on both ends of the court and hasn't been a game changer. So now he's not only going to miss the MVP race, but he's going to miss all NBA. Like I don't think that should happen.
And defensive player of the year, because you probably if he's like up for it, he's going to win the award. He's going to win a landslide.
It isn't like Joel Embiid winning Rookie of the Year with 31 games played. Like he's played more than that. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that should be affecting their All NBA status, All Defensive Team status.
I don't think Joel won. I think won Rookie year. Brogdon won Rookie of the Year.
Malcolm Brogdon, my bad. But I'm just saying, like Joel Embiid was getting votes, I should say, for Rookie of the Year, despite he only played 31 games and stuff like that. I'm like, it's not that type of case. I don't know. Because of the game rule, like you're going to tell me Nikola Jokic isn't first team All NBA. You're going to tell me Victor Wembanyama isn't first team All NBA. You're going to tell me SGA isn't first team All NBA in MVP conversation. So that's where it gets a little you got to start. I don't like the rule because I feel like it affects players like even on what is it all NBA max contracts like extensions. That's where it gets where like I've heard journalists say, "Hey, I voted for a guy just to make sure this guy gets paid." I didn't want to be the guy not to vote for this guy, even though he's been fantastic. But he had an ankle sprain in March, and it kept him out 2 weeks, and now he can't be eligible for max extensions. Like that's the crazy part about it. You got to find a weird balance. I think they should up it. Like I think they should, give a little bit more of a grace period. Like I don't know what is it 18 or 16?
17 games. You can't miss more than
17 games. Like make it 25 or something like that. Like something like there has to be a wiggle room where you can still dominate as a first team all NBA, but you missed 25 games. But if you've been fantastic in the games you did play, I don't want to discredit you, but then on the flip side, you got to give credit to guys like Jaylen Brown, guys that have played. Yeah, Cade Cunningham for Detroit, who has played those games and have been available. Like you got to find there's a balance there without punishing everybody, because now let's say SGA, Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic, who are my top 5 for MVP. Now that instantly goes to Cade Cunningham. That instantly goes to Jaylen Brown. And it's like, you can't tell me that if SGA, they missed 1 game or 2 games and then finished the season strong, that they can't be in consideration for all NBA or an MVP. That doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I mean, I get what they were trying to do, trying to like limit the blatant load management going on, and he was reacting to a situation. But I just feel like looking back at it, that wasn't the right number to land at 17 games. Just think about it. If you get a soft tissue injury and you come back, you're probably right there on the cusp of not being eligible like for the award. Just other than that, God forbid that you re-aggravate it and then you got to miss more games, then you're definitely not going to win the award. And with the way this game is played and all these soft tissue injuries, like I think it needs to be altered.
I think that happened to Tyrese Halliburton last year. He came back from an injury earlier, and he wasn't right. Like everyone saw it, like he doesn't look right, but he's trying to play through it so he can make All NBA and stuff like that. So it's like that's where it gets tricky, because it's like, and then some people are just sitting there being like, "Oh well, stuff happens, injuries happen." I'm like, okay, but the whole idea is to not cause these injuries from happening and stuff like that. So putting it at a 65 game rule now pressures a guy. Hey, I got to play through this injury. I got to make something happen. And I got to make it through X amount of games before I can get hurt or something like that, or I can take a seat. And it's like, it shouldn't be that way for those guys. And I think a lot of the times these organizations are like, all right, we're doing all right. Like, look at Denver. They did all right without Joker for a month. I'm not saying they're going to get through the whole season that way, but then they had injuries to Peyton Watson. They had injuries to Aaron Gordon during that time. And it's like, hey, big fella, we need you to come back. It gets tricky with the 65 game rule. So they really gotta sit down.
And even with Joker, he hasn't really looked like himself. Look like he's like trying to he's playing like a little cautious and everything, not trying to.
He's putting up monster numbers
up again.
He's putting up monster numbers still, but it just doesn't. You can tell something's off with him. The whole Denver Nuggets, or something's off with them with the injuries and stuff like that. But it's they lost the Warriors the other night without Curry, without Butler. You know what I mean? So
insane.
Something's definitely going on.
Yeah. So what I think is that they shouldn't necessarily be. I'm fine with the game limit rule for the MVP award. I'll probably up it to anywhere between 25 and 30. I don't think you need that for all NBA, because, like you said, like that's all the guys like get like money off of that, like increase in their salary off that. And if you're gonna tell me that, like, no, like, and by the way, voters have always been cautious. Has always been cautious of like, all right, this guy played. I don't know, this guy missed probably 35 games, but this guy missed 15. They've always taken that into consideration. So that rule doesn't necessarily need to be in place, because voters are always cautious, or conscious, I should say, rather, of how many games a guy was available for. And they always take that in consideration for the award. So you don't really need it for that. MVP, I'm fine, like 25, 30. Because I'm pretty sure Embiid, when he won MVP, he had to miss at least 25 games. He had to miss at least 25 games that year.
I think the lowest person I think LeBron played 55 games or something like that and made All NBA third team. I think that's a part of it too. So then
AI probably missed. I think AI
Yeah,
missed like close to 12, 15 games when he went in
yeah,
01,
yeah.
if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah. So it's like you're affecting, not only that, you're affecting people's legacies. You're going to tell me for 1 year, Joker wasn't all NBA, Victor wasn't all
Yeah.
like you affect legacies at that point because that counts at the end. When you look back, hey, this guy only had 10 all NBAs. Why did he miss 5 other teams? Oh, because he missed 3 seasons with an injury here or there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that should penalize those guys despite having great seasons. Like, especially a guy like Victor Wembanyama, who's been dominating on the defensive end, and guys are scared to take shots, and he's that effective on both. Like, you're going to tell me he's not Defensive Player of the Year this year just because he had an ankle sprain or a calf injury? Like, I don't think that should happen. I don't like. He's played more than half the season. It isn't like he missed more than half the season and stuff like that. So that's where I'm like, it gets a little iffy with the 65 game rule for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, well, I'm sure they're going to amend that rule in the offseason because clearly it needs to be addressed. So at this point at the NBA season, who is your league MVP if you had a vote? Who would you pick?
I gotta go SGA. And I know people
Really?
are kind of.
Hold on. You're going to go SGA? You're not going to go with Jaylen Brown? Wow. You know what? Boston should ban you from any. I'm about to put in the sports group. Well, I'm going to put in the sports group. My man Daniel Daley said he's going to take SGA for MVP over Jaylen Brown. That's crazy.
I know he's out right now, but people forget that Oklahoma City didn't have J-Dub for like the first 20 games of the season. And they didn't miss a beat. Like, they are number one in the West. They're still number one in the West all season. And I have to reward that. And he plays both sides of the ball. He has the ball every night. He's making all the decisions. Unless he gets injured to a point where he can't come back this season, I think he's supposed to be back soon, hopefully.
I think he's supposed to get reevaluated. He's going to reevaluate it this week.
Okay, so he's going to be back soon, hopefully. He's 44-14 on the season. He's a big part of that. People when the season started, people were talking about, are they going to win 73? You know what I mean? Are they going to get to the Warriors Bulls territory of winning all these games? Because that's how dominant they were without a primary piece. I do have Jaylen Brown second in my MVP because what he has done, again, with less than probably anybody in the league, arguably, 29.2 points per game, 7 rebounds, nearly 5 assists, and the Boston Celtics are in second place. He's definitely going to get some consideration to me, but I just have SGA because it's like they've been number one the whole season. He's putting up fantastic numbers, and they're number one in the West. Like, I'm not going to try to take away SGA and what he's done over the season. I'm not going to do that. So he's ahead of Jaylen Brown to me.
Wow, I really thought you were gonna say Jaylen Brown, and you would have had a great argument. I wouldn't call you crazy like that. I would have.
I got the Celtics uniform. I got the hat. I got the hoodie. Trust me, I'm with the Celtics. Jaylen Brown is in the discussion, especially with the way he's been playing all season. But SGA, it's like he's been number one all season. I can't ignore that. Like, people want to ignore that J-Dub hasn't been playing and stuff like that. They've had guys in and out and stuff like that. He just recently got hurt, so that's where it kind of like opens the door for Jaylen Brown, maybe even a Cade Cunningham, even Victor. But it's like I still have him number one if he comes back in time. If he doesn't, then that changes the conversation. But as right now, I got to go SGA.
All right. Well, yeah, we on the same page today, because that's what I got for league MVP. I got to go with SGA, man. Like you said, incredible season this year so far. So his averages right now is 31. About just under 32 points per game, just about 4.5 rebounds per game, about 6.5 assists per game, on 55% shooting from the field, and 6.7% true shooting from the field. This guy, I think it's safe to say he's having the most efficient scoring season since 2016 Steph Curry for a guard, easily. For a guard, he's having the best season for a guard since 16 Curry. I think we talked about it. These guys were 24-1 without J-Dub, who was battling off-season wrist surgery. Then he comes back, recently gets a hamstring injury. Mind you, other players like Hartenstein's missed several games. Lou Dort missed 7 games. Caruso and everything. And they were still finding a way to win with SGA. His ability, like a lot of people just look at him solely as an offensive threat, but he's actually a great defensive player as well. I think he's great, but it's just crazy. He might be the leaguer's wing on OKC,
Yeah,
but he's still
yeah,
a great defender. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
he's gonna look average compared to like Caruso and Wallace and Dort on the
Mhm.
perimeter. J-Dub, those guys are all way better than him on the
Guys
defensive
who
end, but he's
are
still elite.
specialist in those areas that you named. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like those guys specialize in defense. Like that's their job on the team. It's not to score. It's not to play both ways. Like SGA is doing that, and they have again. Hartenstein has missed more than half the season. Like that happened last year with SGA. Last year, Chet and Hartenstein missed half the season, and he was still leading OKC. They were still dominating the league. So to look at it this year and just him not miss a beat, he's looking incredible. Maybe they haven't looked as invincible as the course of the season because kind of those 72 Bulls, 73 Warriors conversations have died down. But it's like he's still playing at an elite level. His team has been number one. They haven't missed a beat. It's like he's missed 9 games so far this season. I'm not gonna disqualify him from being the top player in the NBA. I can't do that. That's just not how that's gonna work. Like he's been fantastic and he's leading OKC. And if people don't like that because they don't like how he's playing or it's not the sexy story, that's fine. The point is he's the best player. That's what it is for me in this conversation.
Exactly. So I didn't think about who to have in following that or following him.
Mhm.
But if I do off the top of my head right now, I'd probably go Cade number 2, Brown 3, Jokic 4. Jokic because he hasn't really looked the same. He had some iffy games when he came back from the injury, and he's only 1 game away from being disqualified. So I had to move him all the way down to the 4th spot and put those guys ahead of him.
Mhm.
So let me ask you a question. Why do you have Brown over Cade? Because I have Cade over Brown simply because, yes, Brown is doing a hell of a job. See, some of you Celtics fans be pissing me off sometimes. Not you, but some of y'all be pissing me off when I see people saying like, "Oh, yeah, he lost Porzingis, he lost Drew Holiday, he lost Al Horford and Jason Tatum, and he's doing this." I'm like, all right, first of all, act like he lost Porzingis, Brown. No, not act like he lost Porzingis, Holiday, and Horford on the fly. No, they were traded in the offseason. They were prepared to be without them. They have players there. Let's not do that. The Tatum thing is legit because that's another ball handler, another offensive threat, all-star, all-NBA caliber player, and they're still playing like this. Honestly, I thought the Celtics were going to be. I said they're going to avoid the play-in coming into the season. They're going to be a top 6 team in the East. I thought Detroit would have been better. I thought not Indiana, Detroit, New York, Orlando, and one more team I'm missing. I don't think it was Philly. Wait, Cleveland. New York. Yes, and Cleveland. I thought those teams would definitely be better than them. Now, the East hasn't lived up to what we thought it would be coming into the season. And you see Cleveland is starting to pick it up now. Orlando has been a disaster. Yeah. The Knicks, new coach, new system and everything. They're going through the rough patches, but still one of the better teams in the conference. So the Celtics are taking advantage of this. They have the way they're playing, I'm not really surprised because they have a great culture, great coaching. Everybody knows their role. They're battle-tested, championship pedigree. So I'm not really as shocked as a lot of people are about Boston's performance. I'm more shocked about Detroit and how they're playing, being like up neck and neck with the Thunder for the best record in the league. Cade Cunningham being the only primary scorer. Guys who don't have a lot of experience, haven't been in the trenches like Boston Celtics have, and they're here in this position. I think they beat Boston 3-1 in the season series so far. If I'm correct, I think I heard that.
I think
today.
So. Yeah,
I read that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why I would have Cade over him.
Cade has had the matchup over Brown in the head-to-head matchups over the season. So yes, I'll give him that. Where I'll push back is with Boston losing those guys. You're replacing. If you told me you were going to replace Drew Holiday with Peyton Pritchard,
okay, that's fair.
That's a drop off. If you told Porzingis, I think gets there's a love with Porzingis because he wasn't able to play and stuff like that. It's like we played a lot of games without Porzingis, so that in itself, it's like, okay, how are we going to replace the stuff that he did in terms of shooting the ball and blocking shots, rim protection, and stuff like that? That's a big difference that Neemias Queta, Luka Garza stepped in and played tremendously. That's a credit to Joe Mazzulla and those guys. Getting that type of production out of those guys and those guys getting better, especially Queta. he's basically, to me, saved the season. He's an unsung hero for what he's been able to do in that big man role for Boston. But when people were saying before the season, oh, the Celtics should tank, and I'm like,
I was one of them.
Everybody was saying tank, and I'm sitting here like, am I crazy to think?
But I knew they wouldn't, though.
Yeah. Like people were saying there, like, I'm like, they still have Jaylen Brown, who's all NBA. He's going to get more touches. They have Derek White, who is on the verge of being an all-star and is going to get more touches. Peyton Pritchard has been elevated into this role of starter. Now he's on the bench because of the trade of Anthony Simons and the positioning of their roster with Vucevic. That's fine. But it's like, I'm just like, at best, I thought we were going to get 40, 45 wins. We're going to be in that range, like 6th seed, 5th seed in battle. The 2nd seed, I did not see. And that's the part where Jaylen Brown comes in, because it's like, I think they said 28 out of the games they played, he scored 30. Like, he's been on a tear. He's doing it on his shoulders. He has a lot of help around him. But if he's not pushing to get 30 and being aggressive and guarding on the other side of the ball, the Boston Celtics aren't in this position. They're just not. So to give him kudos for doing that, and especially I think not having Tatum really shines a light on him night to night. He's the number one option night to night, and people were questioning if he can be that number one option. The whole thing with the turnovers and all this stuff. Is he efficient, X, Y, Z? I'm like, he's not changed his game, but he's kind of put more emphasis on his game. He's more aggressive. He's getting to his spots better, especially in the mid-range. He's driving to the basket. He actually got some calls in LA yesterday, so I'm happy for that. But overall, I'm like, what he's doing in taking that challenge and leading the Boston Celtics, that gives him an edge in MVP conversation over Cade. With Detroit, they really had their guys for the most part before this suspension brawl with Charlotte. They've really had their guys and had their guys consistently throughout the season. So Cade and Duren, like, that's an all-star combo. Like, those are 2 all-stars on the same team. Jaylen Brown doesn't have that. So that's where the argument is. Cade is playing fantastic. We just saw him put up 40-something odd points in the Garden the other night.
Yeah, 43 in the Garden.
with Paul Reed as his second best player. Like, he's doing phenomenal work. Like, Cade has been fantastic. There was a lot of questions of him coming into the league about what he was going to be, if he was going to be a true point guard, if he was going to be the guy that can actually change a franchise. They thought because of, I think he was it the COVID draft? I can't remember. But people were
he
like,
was COVID draft.
Yeah, so it's like people were really questioning, is this guy really out there? Is there other guys that didn't come into the draft because of COVID and all this other stuff? Is he really that in lead number one? He's proven it every season, even through the drudges. Like, he was a part of the 18-game losing streaks and the shit version of the Detroit Pistons, and he's turned it around. He's led that case. So he's definitely going to be there in MVP conversation. But Jaylen Brown, just the fact that the lack of that talent around him, that's what gives him the edge for me. And he's doing it consistently every night. It might not be pretty every night, but he's doing it every night. He's consistent in that regard.
I was gonna ask. Yeah, and I don't know if you knew, we do get a matchup tonight. Starting in about 11 minutes. Wemby versus Cade.
Yeah.
So I think I'll be checking that out once this podcast is over. Refresh my memory. Were you one of the people who thought that Jason Tatum should come back this season if he is cleared? Was that you? And be honest.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think he should come back. Like, I don't see. This is my whole thing about the Boston Celtics season. At best, get to the playoffs, get those young guys like Walsh, Hugo Gonzalez, Peyton Pritchard, Keita, Garza, who was on the road. Like, all these young guys, get them that playoff experience. Figure out who you're going to keep, so when Tatum does return, you know your roster already and where to fit him. The fact that Jason Tatum can come back, people are saying finals. I think Kevin O'Connor said they have a chance, or Zach Lowe said they have a chance to make the finals if Tatum comes back. And I'm like, I'm not going to go that far. But if Jason Tatum has been through his workouts, he's been with the coaching staff, he's been with the team. It isn't like most other guys' injuries where they're away from the team and they show up every once in a while. He's been with the team. He's been in practices. He's been in team room, film room. He's been in those type of things day to day. He's been traveling with the team. So I'm like, it isn't like this guy has been away and we don't know anything. We've seen a couple workout videos. Those can be deceptive or whatever the case may be. But if he's doing 5-on-5 drills and dunking. Let's put that. He's dunking the basketball. He's putting in the work to get better. He's working through that. He's working close with the doctors. It isn't like he waited 2 months to get surgery or a month to get surgery. He had surgery
night
that
of.
night it happened. So to put that in perspective, it's like it's been a year. And for me, it's more so about next year. Get him back now for him to get game ready, get some reps in. So when next season comes, he's hitting on all cylinders. That's my way of looking at it. Even if they get to the playoffs and stuff like that, and he's still on the minutes restriction of 25 minutes and stuff like that, or whatever the case may be they've been talking about, that's better for next season rather than having them sit out and then saying, all right, we need you to go full tilt now. That's the way I'm looking at it. Get him some reps out there.
Well, but I think that if he came back next season, he would be on a minutes restriction. Like if he didn't come back this season, he would enter the season in a minutes restriction and then work his way into it.
I don't think so. I think if he was declared out this season, I think he would come back next season full, ready to go, because he would have at least had a training camp. He would have at least had the preseason, and then they can be like, all right, he's back to where he needs to be. At least with this way, my thinking is you're getting that rust off. You're seeing where he's at. And then if you don't want to play him, you can pull him out. You know what I mean? Like there's options there with that this season that you can do that. But I just think it sets up next season better. That's what I'm thinking about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Hey, my thing is, I don't know. I mean, I know that medicine is better and times have evolved and everything, but I'm just on the impression that, you know what? Why risk it, man? Like,
yeah.
Okay, so he's gonna come back. If he comes back this season, he has to be back at least a month before the playoffs start, just to get the reps in and ramp up. Because you can't go full, just put him out there and the playoffs begin and go full throttle. That's stupid. So you're gonna work his way back. But we have seen in the past a player. Now, I think that this may exclude him only because of he's like 27, 28 years old. But we've seen guys who came back early from an Achilles injury, and then that led to other lower leg injuries because they kind of rushed back, like a Kobe did back when he tore his Achilles.
Yep.
I think it tore like 2 weeks and like left into the season, and then came back like in November.
Yeah.
And then he was never the same ever since then. So I don't want to see that happen to Tatum. And I see people thinking that, oh, like I'm surprised you said that you don't think that they would get to the finals if he came back. Is that because you don't think that he'll be 100%? And he just might be like a shell of himself. He'll be like, maybe 50, 75% of himself. And
that's the main thing, because it's like, you got to think about it like you're going up against Detroit. Like, you know what I mean? Like I hold Detroit in high regard. New York is also a matchup that can give us problems with that with not a healthy Tatum. Some people are saying like the tilt and the way the Boston Celtics play, that they can get to the finals even if he's not 100%. And I'm like, I don't want to put that expectation on them. You know what I mean? Like that's tough. Like to sit there and look at Detroit, because Detroit, I know they manhandled New York and stuff like that, but they beat up everybody. Like they're a very physical team, tough team. Do I think they need? I thought they should have got another ball handler for them in at the trade deadline, somebody else to help Cade in that regard. But it's like they're tough. I don't know. Like, just to put Tatum back in that and just up against those two teams, and then Cleveland potentially with this whole James Harden look, it's like that's a tough axe, I think, to then just propel them to the finals in that regard. I just don't. I think we're probably the fourth best team out of those three in the playoffs, even though we're the second seed right now. It's like in a playoff series, things get a little different. You know what I mean? We still got to see.
You're able to key on your opponents, I'm saying, and game plan for them through like 2 weeks and everything. Like, so and the game slows down.
Mm-hmm. Like you're depending on Shireman, Hauser, Walsh, Gonzalez now to be like raise their game in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like that's a tough axe. And then you got Jason Tatum who's playing maybe 20, 25 minutes a game to like fill in. I'm like, that's a tough. I don't know right now if they can do. I got to see Tatum return first and see how that looks before saying they're in the finals. I think he gives them a better chance, but I don't know. I think the way New York is looking, the way Detroit's looking, I'm like, they just have a little bit more oomph, I think, than us right now.
I would agree for a playoffs run.
Yeah. Seeding wise, right now the Celtics are great, but I'm just saying in those playoffs, it's like Now you're telling guys to like raise their games up. And I'm not saying that Brown, White, and Pritchard, that cohesiveness of that team from the championship, that they can be a good core to lean on, but it's like, that's really tough. I got to see how Tatum looks first. And then Cleveland added James Harden, which I think really potentially gets them back in the driver's seat after looking like they were out of it, in my opinion. Like Cleveland definitely maybe has something.
Man, you know what? I think next season, the top 4 or 5 seeds in the East and West is going to be like on par with each other because you're going to have Boston fully loaded, Indy fully loaded, Detroit on the rise still, only going to get better. The Knicks are probably going to figure it out and retool and add some pieces. Possibly, hey, maybe they might get land Giannis in the offseason. So you got the Knicks right there. Cleveland, like it's gonna be tough next season, man, in the East.
For sure.
It's gonna be some good basketball to watch. So, what are you looking forward to as the season winds down in the last couple of months we got left in the season?
Obviously, the playoffs are coming up, and you're just trying to look at matchups right now. I think after the brawl, everybody would love a Pistons Hornets first round series. The Hornets have been. I'm seeing if the Hornets can continue their pace and what they've been doing. I believe they're one of the top 5 in offense and top 10 in defense over the last 2 months. I was worried that the All-Star break would kind of slow their momentum because they're currently in 10th place, but they've been fantastic over the past 2 months and seeing if they can continue their stretch. That's one of the things I'm looking for because it's like if those guys can get into the playoffs and give us a Detroit-Charlotte matchup, I would love to see that. That's probably one of the things I'm looking at the most. Just playoff matchups. Seeing what's going to happen with Houston. I think Houston's going to take a fall. Like I think the injury to Fred VanVleet to start the season was one thing, but then Steven Adams getting hurt completely.
Oh, yeah.
I think just lost their edge because it's like I don't see how they can put together a championship run this year. I just don't see it. I think it's going to end badly for them because it's like everything's too reliant on Kevin Durant at this stage. There really hasn't been a second option to pick up. I think they blew that 18-point lead to the New York Knicks the other night, last week. And I just can't, for Houston, I'm just worried because it's like, I knew Fred VanVleet's injury was going to be bad. And I'm like, they can overcome that with some patchwork. But the Steven Adams, how valuable he was to that team, giving them offensive rebounds and second chance points and second chance opportunities, it hurt them tremendously. They don't have that edge to them anymore. And it's very, teams are keying in on Amen Thompson and Sengun, and they're really putting pressure on those guys. And they're not, I don't think they're hitting the mark right now.
And KD is playing logging a lot of minutes at this stage in his career. He got a lot of offensive burden to bear. It's too much, I think, to ask for him at this stage of his career. So, I wasn't really in love with the fit of him going to Houston like so many other people were, just a bit for that reason. I understand he could have made the team better. And hey, if VanVleet never got hurt and Steven Adams didn't get hurt as well, we could be talking about a whole different scenario.
I'm not the biggest VanVleet fan, just because I don't think he's the most efficient. He's undersized. Like he fights and does his things well. He's able to take some shots in the clutch. He's willing to, at least I'll say that. But I didn't think it would be like this. I didn't think it would be like this, where there's no offensive creation at the end of games, where there's nobody that can make a shot outside of KD really in these situations. It's like, I didn't think it was going to be this bad. And I know people are saying play Shepherd more. And maybe they should, but I'm like, I don't. To put him in that,
he's so easy to get hunted and everything. It's like
to put him in that.
He's good though. I like him.
Yeah, I like him. Like when he gets stronger, when he gets better and stuff like that. But it's like right now for what this team needs, it's like they need a guy like James Harden. Like people were saying, like hinting that he might go back to Houston. I didn't think that was going to happen, but I'm like, they need somebody else that can score the basketball. Yeah, and it makes you think.
I think Harden Brendan's bridge over there.
Yeah, long ago I think so too. But it's just I don't know why they didn't go after the guy from Chicago, Ayo Demunsu. I don't know why they didn't.
Now he's on the Wolves.
Yeah, he's on the Wolves right now. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know why they didn't target him. Like Dorian Finney-Smith is also out the rotation. I'm like, he doesn't even play. Like they didn't even try to trade him or anything like that. So it's like, I thought Ayu would have been a big pickup from them, and they just didn't go after him. I thought that would have been an easy pickup for them if they weren't going to go big game hunting. But I thought that would have helped them a lot because he does both. he does. He plays both sides of the ball. He has more size. I thought that would have been an easy pickup for Houston. They didn't do it. So they lost. The Wolves game.
Yeah, man. Okay, that's what's up. So, I'm just hoping to see in these last couple of months, can the Lakers maintain their position right now and avoid the play-in, because they're currently the 5th seed at 34-22. So they are the Suns are in 7th, and they're 3 games behind in the loss column. Man, this Lakers season has just been so frustrating. Just knowing that fact. I mean, going to the season that didn't have high expectations, I thought that, like, kind of like the Celtics, they'll avoid the play-in. I think Luka and LeBron is enough with Reeves enough to avoid the play-in. But this team just isn't good enough, man. This team they have not done anything remotely close to building the right team around Luka Doncic. Now, I understand it's because they're trying to save their cap space. Like, I think everybody on the team outside of Luka isn't on the books for 2+ years. Luka's only person on the books for 2 years and going forward. But damn, man, just watching, like, last night against the Celtics, I was watching the game passively because I knew I was going to be pissed off, and that was it was just like a layup line of the basket.
They
3-point barrage.
They competed
the far more inferior team. Boston's way stronger, way more athletic, more hungry. I'm just like, yeah, man, this is it's hard to watch.
They competed for a quarter and a half, and then Pritchard made the 3 before the half, and I was like, okay, I think we got this, because the Lakers just don't have that athleticism. They just don't have. They don't rebound the ball well. They don't shoot the ball well. It's like, you don't do those 2 things. At least if you shoot the ball well, you have a chance. You don't rebound in the NBA, you're not going to win. So it's those things. And then you got the defensive aspect of it. Luka, AR-15, and then you got LeBron. Ayton's not going to be a rim protector that he was in Phoenix, at least with his verticality. They don't have that. And it's like, if you don't have that, you're not going to win. They're probably going to get to the second round of the playoffs, potentially, depending on matchups and stuff like that. But it's like, this team, the Lakers, when I look at them, they're in transition, right? Because they're in the middle of building between LeBron and Luka, having the remains of what LeBron was building around LeBron, and now they're going to try to build around Luka. So that's where I think you guys are at. Like, I just think the team is just waiting for LeBron to leave and then waiting to build around Luka. That's why they're trying to keep open their cap space, trying to keep their draft picks, not trying to hit the explode button. Like, just get through the season again. You already got Luka, you got AR-15, and then figure out the rest of the roster. Maybe you keep LaVeria, maybe you keep that guy, and then, like, just try to build this team around Luka, because ironically, the things that worked around LeBron and Luka are the same things, but they just don't have it. They don't have the 3-point shooting. They don't have the rebounder or defensive or shot blocker at the rim. They don't have those guys. You don't have the defenders. You don't have the 3-point shooting. You're not going to win. And that's what we're seeing right now. They just don't have – they have the star power of LeBron and Luka, and maybe AR-15 before he got hurt was in that stratosphere. He was playing fantastic. But it's just like, there's just too much to overcome, especially when you start going up against these teams. We saw it last year in the playoffs against Minnesota. When you go up against these teams that are just big, athletic, and just going to bang on you, and that's not good for your team, especially if you don't have many ways especially on the offensive end, to score the basketball. Like, it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, man. Like, I always said it. You cannot have your 3 best players can't be a negative on the defensive end of the ball. I always said LeBron got an excuse. He's like 41 now. He got an excuse. But still, when you got defenders who are your top 3 players are negative, you got no rim protection to speak of at the rim, and you can't shoot, it's a disaster. Like, the fact that they even, like, 12 games over 500 is a miracle. that just shows how good LeBron, just how good Luka is, and LeBron even at this stage of his career, because this team is not suited to battle with the top dogs in either conference, especially the Western Conference. Like, they're at best a second round exit.
That's where it just gets tough, because it's like, for them, it's just like, you guys, again, I think they're just waiting for LeBron to leave, and then they can figure out what to do building the team around Luka, because, as you said, having 3 negatives is not a good thing. And then when you put Marcus Smart in the game, you put Vando in the game, and it's like, they contribute nothing on offense. They can defend a little bit. Yeah. Marcus Smart's probably done defending and stuff like that. I'm like, I just don't see it for him. But those guys can't even score the basketball. So now it's like you're fighting a battle because now you have these guys on the defensive end, but then on the offensive end, they can't score. So it's like
Exactly.
Luka, AR-15, LeBron have to do more work on that end of the court. And it's like, that's just too much to ask of anybody at this stage right now with how this team is constructed. You just can't win the margin battles. It's like, I look at Phoenix, all the margin battles they do, they hustle, they have athletes, they defend, they get after it, they rebound. They might not have all the talent, but it's like those margin of victories that everyone talks about, the Lakers don't win those margins. They win shootouts and Luka Magic in the last 5 minutes of him pushing his team over the top. It's like, if that stuff doesn't happen, it's like, that's tough for the Lakers to overcome.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they'll avoid the play-in, but still, I'm just keeping an eye on that. And want to see that they make sure that they don't fall into that spot and standings.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can wrap it up now. Yeah, I know the game's about to get underway and everything. Anything you're working on for your pod?
Before the All-Star game, I put out an episode kind of talking about Chris Paul tanking and where the NBA is with the All-Star game. So that episode is up. I also addressed the tanking issue with Matt Ishbia. Mark Cuban's comment.
Sorry.
No, I was talking about Chris Paul's retirement. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Chris Paul's retirement, tanking it itself, and then the NBA All-Star game. And then I got into another episode with tanking in general because Matt Ishbia's comments, which we talked about earlier, and then Mark Cuban's comments. So just addressing the whole tanking situation there. I have that up. That's on the Soapbox Network on YouTube. We're also on TikTok and Instagram as well under the Soapbox Network. So check us out there as well.
Hey, did you ever change your platform for which you record? You hit me up about Riverside.
I'm now using Riverside. I'm still trying to get used to the editing. That's the only thing I got to get used to. But other than that, it's been a smooth transition. I like it. Does a lot of the work for you with the clips and stuff like that. So Riverside, if you ever need me to sponsor you guys, trust me, I like your platform. Now it's pretty good, man.
All right, man. Well, man, I appreciate you for coming on for this pod, and we'll definitely touch base as the season moves forward and everything. And good luck with the project you got coming out. I'll be on the lookout for that, my brother. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Sir. All right, that is it for this episode. I do thank you guys for listening, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button as this podcast is available damn near everywhere you listen to your favorite pods at. That includes Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other platforms as well. Check the show notes too as it relates to the social media page, IG, YouTube, and the newsletter link as well. All that information is going to be in the show notes. Look at that as well. I will be back next week with another episode. But until then, y'all stay safe, stay blessed, take care.